What's up, guys? This is Eric from GameShampoo.com. Today is Sunday, December 8th, 2013. The VGX Awards happened yesterday, so we've got a video covering that already. But aside from that, I'm here to tell you all about the news that happened over the last week. So from 1st-ish to the 8th. And talk about what's coming up next in the month of December. So, we have some VGX stuff up on the site, Tales from the Borderlands and Game of Thrones game from Telltale, stuff like that. If you want to read about that, like I said, we've already got a video detailing all of the award winners and all of the nominees and all the different announcements and stuff like that were made during the VGX Awards. If you want to skip over the whole 3-hour thing, our video is about 15 minutes long. It covers everything that happened, so you can check that out if you want to read more about that. So I'm going to skip over that stuff in this video. But let's start with Friday and work our way back to Monday, and then talk about what's coming up next week. So, Bungie announced a release date for Destiny. We'll be able to play the game on PS4 and Xbox One, as well as current-gen stuff and PC on September 9th, 2014, so next fall. A little bit later, I think, than a lot of people were anticipating. I know Bungie and Activision were talking about a spring date, potentially, for the game as of E3, so September might be a little bit later than a lot of people were expecting, but I also think in the end, probably a better date for that game. Kind of gives it some breathing room to avoid Titanfall and Infamous on the PS4 is another big one that's coming out in the spring. There's actually quite a lot of stuff coming out in the spring. Even on current-gen stuff, Dark Souls and Final Fantasy XIII, Lightning Returns, a bunch of stuff coming out in that period. So that allows it to get away from that stuff, as well as from the smaller stuff, kind of like the new Wolfenstein game and The Evil Within, and have a little room to breathe. So I think it's a good date. Bungie's DJ, their community manager, talked a little bit about the game, kind of their ambitions for it, and how it's shaping up so far. And he said, "We first shared the design pillars of Destiny less than 1 year ago. We promised to redefine what players can expect from a Bungie game. We said we wanted to change the way people play games together. We set our bar high. For us, Destiny represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Since then, Destiny has continued to reveal its promise. Every new build brings us closer to our original vision. With those goals in sight, we intend to use every moment from now until release of the game to ensure that Destiny lives up to your expectations and to our own." So it sounds like they're pretty proud of the way that the game is shaping up, and I think they probably should be. The game is definitely one of the most anticipated titles of the next year. I know a lot of people are really excited for it, and it's looking great, especially on next gen. They just revealed a new alien race as well for that game. I believe that was at the VGX Awards, or maybe like the day before. I think it might have leaked out or something like that. But yeah, Bungie's next game coming in September 2014, and it looks pretty good. Analyst Michael Pachter predicts that Microsoft will lose the next generation unless they change the price of the Xbox One significantly. The $100 premium, which is inflicted by the Kinect, which has been rendered largely useless by the fact that it doesn't really have to be plugged in anymore, is kind of the deciding factor for a lot of consumers, Pachter thinks, anyway. And, it definitely gives Sony a good bragging point when they want to go head-to-head with Microsoft. The reason Sony beats Microsoft is solely the price, he says. Microsoft loses the next generation unless they cut price. If Microsoft drops its price to $399, I expect the sales to be equal to the PS4s. And he also talks about overall numbers and his predictions for the future of this generation. I don't know where they get those numbers. I don't think you're ever going to see 500 million consoles out there. The next generation of consoles is probably the last. We expect frequent model updates instead of new consoles. I think the PC is going to make a comeback. The PC will be the hub of all this stuff. Which, to me, sounds like the same predictions these guys have been making for the last 2 or 3, 4 generations. So, in other words, there probably will be a next generation of consoles because these things do sell pretty well. So, you know, unless Valve's Steam Box or something similar really takes off, I mean, really, who knows at this point? Like, that is a more legitimate argument, I think, now than it ever has been before, with like PC TV boxes and smart TVs and all kinds of weird things vying for your attention. But you know, the PS4 has sold over 2.1 million units so far, and the Xbox One moved over 1 million units on its first day. So it's not like there's a lack of interest in this stuff right now, and I don't really see that interest dwindling too much into the future. It'll be interesting to see where this stuff goes, to say the least. The next Super Smash Bros., which is coming to the Wii U and the 3DS, has revealed a new assist trophy, courtesy of its Miiverse site. Skull Kid will be in the game, although only in the form of an assist trophy and not as a playable character, unfortunately. It would have been cool to play as a character wielding Majora's Mask, but I guess it was not to be. You know, I really can't help but wish that they would put some of these assist trophy characters into the game. Specifically, Skull Kid and Lyn from Fire Emblem in the last game, I think would have made really, really good playable characters. I think there are a lot of moves you could kind of get out of their just natural state in the games that maybe an assist trophy doesn't quite do justice to characters that awesome. But it's cool that he's going to be in the game anyway, and you know, assist trophies are a really good way for Nintendo and Sakurai and all those guys developing the game to kind of mash in characters that they can't necessarily fit as playable characters, but they still want to get them in there somehow and get that fan service going. And it does mark another Majora's Mask reference, which we've seen a lot of this year. Most recently, I believe in A Link Between Worlds, where Majora's Mask was hanging up on the wall in one of the shops. So maybe we're getting a little bit closer to that 3DS remake of Majora's Mask that everybody pretty much knows exists but doesn't really officially exist yet. That would be really nice. That would be really cool. That game is super, super weird, especially for a Nintendo game. It's like strange and dark and doesn't really play by the rules that they established for that universe, which is cool, even though the game itself is kind of frustrating and annoying in spots. Visceral Games is developing a military shooter for EA, which may be a spin-off of the Battlefield franchise. There is no official Battlefield game coming from DICE next year, though. Not in the fiscal year of 2014. But were Visceral to put out a Battlefield spin-off, that might be how they kind of decide to annualize that franchise or kind of expand it in some way. Visceral is a pretty good choice given that they started up the Dead Space series and then kind of drove it through all 3 of its iterations, and they also worked a little bit on that Army of Two game that everybody immediately forgot about this year. What was it, like the Devil's Cartel, I think. And Dead Space is pretty awesome, especially the first game. The second game was pretty good too. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do if they are developing a first-person game with that new perspective and that new setting and the whole new like atmosphere and everything that comes along with that. So this one actually comes from Michael Pachter again, who says that we spoke with the management on Thursday afternoon. That would be the management of EA. And although they have not yet announced a version of Battlefield for fiscal year 2015, they confirmed that our underlying theory is spot on, and that if a version of Battlefield were to be released in fiscal year 2015, it would be developed by a studio other than DICE. So, in other words, yeah, it's a possibility that Visceral might be working on a Battlefield game. They're definitely working on some kind of military-based shooter for EA, and really it's hard to think of what else that might be unless it's a totally original IP, which, dear God, please let it be a totally original IP. Please don't beat this Battlefield horse into the ground even more. Like, I really like Battlefield quite a lot generally. I didn't like 3 a whole lot, but now that a lot of the issues are starting to get polished out of the PS4 version of Battlefield 4, which is the version that I've been playing, I think that game's a lot of fun. I loved Bad Company 2. I love Bad Company 1 even more. I think that game is one of the best shooters of this generation. I liked Battlefield 2142. I like Battlefield 2. All the way back to 1942. I love this series, but it's just starting to get maybe a little repetitive, how they keep going back to the same modern military setting with Bad Company, Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. It would be cool if maybe they could change it up a little bit, bring it into the future, bring it back into the past, or do something a little bit different with it. I don't know. Hopefully they end up doing that. Microsoft has vowed to protect user data from government spying. They're talking about kind of upping their security measures, and they've listed out 3 steps for doing so. Indeed, government snooping potentially now constitutes an advanced, persistent threat alongside sophisticated malware and cyber attacks. In light of these allegations, we've decided to take immediate and coordinated action in 3 areas. We are expanding encryption across our services, we are reinforcing legal protections for our customers' data, and we are enhancing the transparency of our software code, making it easier for customers to reassure themselves that our products do not contain backdoors. So that's really interesting. It should roll out across all the Outlook, Office 365, SkyDrive, and Windows Azure stuff pretty soon, and it should cover custom user-created content as well. So that's an interesting promise or statement or whatever that Microsoft made, especially coming from Microsoft being one of the first people or one of the first corporations that signed up for the PRISM initiative. I guess we'll see how that plays out. It's good that they're at least saying they're going to do something about it, even if it doesn't end up manifesting in anything, which it probably won't. Sony is resetting some PSN accounts, speaking of security, due to irregular activity. So we've had word of a couple of PlayStation Network accounts kind of being compromised, I guess. The Verge had 2 of their staff members receive this email talking about how their password was reset due to weird security reasons. Irregular activity was detected on their accounts. So if you have a PlayStation Network account, this doesn't seem like a huge widespread thing, but just to be safe, you might want to change your password. We heard that Fallout 4 would not be at Spike's VGX Awards, and obviously it wasn't. Bethesda's Pete Hines, I believe it was going down to LA, so people started to speculate that, it was Pete Hines. People started to speculate that, he's going down there to show off something at the VGX Awards, and obviously, in retrospect, that was not the case. So what actually happened was he had a meeting down in LA, just a coincidence that he was down there, and nothing VGX related, obviously, although maybe something Fallout related, who knows. Actors were confirmed for the World of Warcraft movie. This is another interesting piece of news. Seems like this movie's totally going to happen. So we've got Ben Foster, Travis Fimmel, Paula Patton, Toby Kebbell, Rob Kaczynski, and Dominic Cooper all having some role in the movie, although what roles those are was not confirmed. And that's on top of Colin Farrell already being in the movie. So they've got their cast for the most part, it seems, and they've got their date of, I believe it's March 2016, to get out of the way of Star Wars in December 2015. So this could totally be a movie. Seems like it's totally going to be a movie, which is interesting. I'm kind of excited for it. I don't like WoW at all, in the slightest, but I am excited to see what somebody does with a WoW movie. So, see, hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's that movie that shows people that there can be big, kind of crowd-pleasing films based off of video games. That would be really cool. So Persona 5 was announced for the PlayStation 3, also the PlayStation 5. It's coming out in 2015 in America and 2014, end of 2014 in Japan. Right now, this is everything we know about Persona 5. It is coming out on the PS3, not next gen, at least not as of yet. There could be a port, or there could be a handheld port, like Persona 4 Gold and something like that. It's set for a winter 2014 release in Japan, which most likely, like I said, means a 2015 date for America. And the story will again deal with high schoolers being trapped in some kind of dark, weird world. That's better. I had to switch some things around with the camera. But yeah, the game will go back to high school. Again, Persona 3 and Persona 4 were especially notable for having their whole social linking thing, and Persona 5 should continue that in some form or another. But this time, the themes will be a little bit different. It'll deal with themes of feeling trapped by modern society. There are shackles pictured in the logo, which are strapped around the legs of the chairs that the kids sit in class. I would assume those are the chairs. And those are meant to represent the psychological shackles placed on citizens in modern society, whether they're placed by the government, law, or even ourselves. But other than that, news is really vague, so look forward to more Persona 5 news sometime, hopefully soon. A ton of other Persona news came out over the week, though, and that was all really promising. There's a Persona 4 Arena update going on. I don't remember what that one is called exactly, but there's another update to that coming out, and there's a Persona 4 based 3DS RPG coming out where everybody's little chibi dudes, and that one looks really cool. And then, let's see, there was one more. There's one more Persona game too, and I cannot get the page to load to confirm what it is called, but there's a ridiculous number of Persona games coming in 2014. Now my computer's being all wonky. So we're starting our Game of the Year awards this year. This is our big thing for December, and our big thing for last week and the upcoming week and the week after that too. So with 2013 coming to a close, we're starting to update our Game of the Year awards. We've already got a 3DS Game of the Year and a Vita Game of the Year up, and keep in mind these are exclusives. So if it's on other platforms, it does not count for this particular award. We posted the 3DS Game of the Year award on Thursday, and the winner of that award was Fire Emblem Awakening, with The Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds, and Animal Crossing Wild World being runners-up. So if you haven't played Fire Emblem, definitely play Fire Emblem. It's an amazing strategy game, and check out our Game of the Year 3DS article for more reasons to play. And our Vita Game of the Year was Tearaway, which is an awesome little, I would say platform, but it's not quite a platformer, like an adventure with some platformer elements thrown in. Monday, the 9th, we have an Xbox One Game of the Year award going up, and we have an Xbox 360 Game of the Year award going up. Tuesday, December 10th, the very next day, is PS3 and PS4 Game of the Year. And again, these are exclusives, so if it's on another platform, it doesn't count. On Wednesday, the 11th, the Wii U Game of the Year will be announced. On Thursday, December 12th, the PC Game of the Year will be announced. Following that, the Most Improved Sequel/Reboot will go up on Friday the 13th. Not ominous at all. So that's where we're taking into account stuff like Assassin's Creed 4 and the Tomb Raider reboot, stuff that kicked off a franchise that we had thought was kind of running out of steam before. And then the next Monday, we're going to start up that week of coverage with the best indie games of the year. That it will be on December 16th. The Best Early Access Title Award will be given on Tuesday, December 17th. The top 20 games of 2013 will be revealed on Wednesday, December 18th. So that's our big one, where we're going to talk about not the top 10 this year, because there were so many awesome games this year. We're cranking it up to top 20, and we're going to make a big list of all the best games of the year. So that's going to be on Wednesday, December 18th, so be sure to stay tuned for that. The platform of the year will be announced on Thursday, December 19th, so which one was best: PS4, Xbox One, PC, 3DS, Vita, whatever. And then our most anticipated games of 2014 will kind of close out the whole thing on Friday, December 20th. That's going to be a big list as well. Lots of next-gen stuff happening next year. Lots of really exciting stuff happening next year. So be sure to stay tuned for that one as well. And overall, it's about 2 weeks worth of content for Game of the Year stuff. One thing per day, aside from the Monday and Tuesday coming right up, which will be Xbox 360 and Xbox One on Monday, and then PS3 and PS4 on Tuesday. So again, 3DS and Vita are already up on the site. Xbox stuff is up on Monday. Sony stuff is up on Tuesday. Wii U is on Wednesday. PC on Thursday. Most Improved Sequel Reboot on Friday. Then the next week we've got Best Indies of the Year, Best Early Access Title, Top 20 Games of 2013, Platform of the Year, and our most anticipated games of 2014. Whew. Okay. That is a big list of stuff. And that is the main stuff that is happening next week. There's not a ton going on in the way of video game releases anymore, being that it is December and the year is closing out, but we do have some indie stuff coming up on Steam and on the PS4 as well. Tiny Brains just came out on the PS4, and it is coming to Steam as well in about a week, I believe. I don't think they have a firm release date on PC, but it should be sometime this month, unless something goes wrong. Omsci 2 Steam Edition is coming out on December 11th. I don't really know what that is. It's an omnibus simulator, so that's a thing. Omnibus simulator. Duh. It's a bus sim. So got trailers up for that, but basically it looks like you're simulating being a bus driver. I actually think I've seen gameplay video of this online, if this is what I'm thinking of. The Novelist is coming up on December 10th, which is kind of a promising little adventure game where, if I remember right, you play as a ghost who is looking in on the lives of this novelist and his family, his son and his wife, kind of observing this guy as he sort of balances his personal life with his dream of being a novelist and his ambition to write a really good novel. And, drama stuff. I like a game that experiments with a unique premise and experiments with dramatic stuff more so than your average, like, Battlefield, let's go kill everybody kind of thing. Unity of Command Black Turn DLC is coming out on December 10th, which includes a Stalingrad campaign. Not 100% sure what that is either, but it looks like it's a DLC for the Unity of Command base game. Okay. So it's kind of it looks almost like a Risk-esque kind of thing, and it is a prequel to the main game. Cool. It actually looks pretty cool. I had never heard of this game before, but now I kind of want to check it out. Moto Steam Edition is coming out for Dota superfans. That'll be out sometime in December. No firm date on that just yet. Small World 2 Cursed is also coming out in December, as well as Small World 2 Grand Dames and actual Small World 2. So this is based on a fantasy board game, for those of you who don't know, and basically it's just a PC kind of adaptation of this pre-existing board game. Grand Dames and Cursed are both DLC for the game. There are no prices on any of that stuff just yet. Dogs of War Online should be coming sometime this year. It was originally scheduled for fall, but that's pretty much gone. And Total War 2 Caesar in Gaul is coming out for $15, and I believe that'll be sometime this month as well. Let's see. Weird sim stuff in the world of strange sim games that I never knew existed, but apparently do. Basketball Pro Management 2014 is coming out on December 12th. Game of the Year stuff right there. Oh, and Stick It to the Man is coming out on Steam sometime in December. No firm date on that one either, but this was a PS3 and Vita title that came out on the same day as the PS4. So, kind of bad timing there on their part, and I feel like a lot of people looked this one over, but it is a pretty charming platformer, and it has really nice graphics and decent sense of humor. So, if you're into that kind of stuff, it gives off maybe not to give the wrong impression, but it gives off a little bit of like a Psychonauts vibe in terms of the dialogue at some points, but not really like, not like super ingenious like that game was for its time, but just, sort of a similar humor and kind of feeling to the world. And The Walking Dead Season 2 has supposedly been dated for December 17th. So, I believe I said in the last video when I was talking about Telltale's new Borderlands game and their new Game of Thrones game that they hadn't announced a date for this, but it looks like they've quietly kind of pooped a date out for this on Steam. So that's pretty exciting, and I am pre-ordering that game right now. Okay, so there we go. And, yeah, Walking Dead Season 2, coming soon. And we just had Tiny Barbarian DX and SteamWorld Dig release on Steam over the last couple of days. Starbound was out on Wednesday, so a lot of people playing that in early access. Those are, I believe, the big kind of things that came out in December. And that's about it for your Steam update. What else is going on? As far as reviews go, I still got to finish up an Assassin's Creed 4 review. That game is just so huge, and there's so many other games going on right now that I kind of got sidetracked with Battlefield 4 now that that's finally working, which I should also have a review up of. We did kind of like a review in progress. I wouldn't even really call it that. We did kind of like a synopsis of the game when it first came out, saying like, hey, this game is totally broken and don't buy it just yet. But now that it's not totally broken, I am enjoying it quite a bit. And yeah, I'm going to write some stuff up about it pretty soon. So look for a review of Assassin's Creed 4 and Battlefield 4 really soon. Hopefully, I can get something in about Tiny Barbarian or SteamWorld Dig, because those games are fairly enjoyable, or so it seems. So I want to say maybe tentative to that stuff, and definitely to Assassin's Creed and Battlefield over the next week. We're going to be pretty busy with Game of the Year stuff. Other than that, when December 17th rolls around, look for a review of The Walking Dead, or, if they push that, or whatever. We should have a review of that game up around, like, the morning of its release, so look for that. Whenever that does come out, December 17th seems like it's the date. So, I think that's just about it. Looking at kind of a barren winter for games now. We've got Tomb Raider coming in January, which we'll do stuff with. But we already did a review of the game back in March on PC, and this version shouldn't be too different. Got that smaller stuff that I just mentioned. And then February's got Donkey Kong, which looks really exciting. And I believe Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns. So there's stuff, but it's looking a little sparse until March, when everything's just going to get dumped on us all at once with Titanfall and Dark Souls and South Park, Infamous, a bunch of other stuff. So spring's when it's really going to be popping off, but be sure to stay tuned for all of our Game of the Year stuff. Our Game of the Year list this year is going to be huge, and it's going to be awesome, and there's so many games that are just so good that came out this year, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Anyways, you can check out GameShampoo.com/magazine for more. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you next time.